as an online journalist at STV on the City apps is to source what's happening in the city, whether it's from social media or blogs or other web links, or press releases or council documents, and it was just like any other quiet Friday night really, and then we just started seeing this repeated mention of questioning of whether or not a helicopter had crashed, and we'd seen the original tweet from Wesley Shearer. So myself and my colleague were talking about it, and we discussed it with the STV News online journalist who was there and the two members of staff from the broadcast side of things. So they quickly put the calls in, and we quickly done up our website's made up of sort of stream posts, like short mini one paragraph articles with the media. So I wrote that up, and within 5 minutes of us seeing the tweet, we had the confirmation from the police that it was a helicopter that had crashed. So I basically just picked up one of the digital cameras and I just ran out the office. I just thought we had to get there, and we had to. We didn't know what the rest of the scene would be like. The only picture we had seen was of the pub with the rotor just sticking out of the roof. So ran out to my car, drove along to the scene. I parked somewhere outside the court building, and I ran across the bridge. Well, first I ran sort of towards the side of the court where the bridge is, because it was just lined with sirens and blue flashing lights and vehicle, like ambulances, fire engines, police cars, everything. And it was just as I was getting there, the police started to push people back and started to make their barrier. So when the helicopter, we know, crashed about 10:30, and I'd got there, I think it was about 10 to 11, so I think I might have been one of the first sort of journalists on the scene. So I just started tweeting pictures back to the office, tweeting vines as well, with just people, the crowds of people that were there, and then I just sort of started talking to a couple of people as well, just about what they'd seen. Not many people that I'd found had actually seen the helicopter come down, but most of them heard it. Most of them were nearby pubs or just walking down the street, and they just heard it. And had just sort of followed the noise, as it were. One of the people that I did bump into was a friend of my sister's. He was in her year at school, and he actually knew who the band were. They were playing at Hotel Esperanza. So once I'd spoken to him, I'd sent what he'd said back to the office. Quickly did a research, just through like Facebook and Twitter, just to see just to double check the band's name, and they were definitely playing that night. So I think once I got that confirmed, and I think we were one of the first with the band as well, because then you were able to keep an eye on whether or not any of them were still inside or helping out, or eventually it turned out that they were all fine. But they've still, even to this day, they've been involved with the fundraising and stuff. But anyway, back to the night. It was basically just a case of sort of being there and just not waiting for something to happen, but just in case. Because by the time that I'd got there, everybody had been called in, like any nearby, like broadcast journalists, the online journalists, just even some of the sports journalists were in, just helping out, just as more bodies trying to find sources. One of my colleagues was actually knows sort of Jim Murphy, and he was trying to get in touch with him, because obviously, as it turned out through the night, he'd been nearby when it happened, and he was pulling people out of the building. So I was there after getting there just before 11. I was on the side of the river outside like the church where the service was on the Sunday morning, and it was a strange atmosphere, because all the police and the fire and the ambulance crews were all just sort of, they were coming and going, but there was nothing really to do until the cranes and stuff arrived and to make it safe. So I'd phoned my editor and Sean, and he just said just stay there, and then about 3:30, two of my colleagues who had been called in came along because one of them was trying to get where the family rescue centre was, just for the families to get information and stuff, but the press weren't getting allowed in there. So those two came on and let me go. So I went home at half 3, and the first thing I did when I got home was I just started watching telly for another 10-15 minutes, just in case anything had happened, because Sean said it would be better just getting a rest if I was needed for the rest of the weekend. But I went to sleep and I woke up and it was just the first thing I did again. But by the time I woke up, it was the time when Gordon Matheson and Alex Salmon were doing their press conference. And the colleague that I was on with at the night when it broke, Siobhan McFadden, she was only a freelancer at STV, so she'd finished working with STV about 5 or 6 in the morning, and then went to work for one of the national newspapers that she had ties with, so she just kept working through the day, because I seen her in the background of some of the shots on the television. And I phoned Sean and he basically said that I was okay, I wasn't needed for the rest of the weekend, but it was one of those ones that you kept you kept an eye on. I kept looking at my emails and looking through our internal sort of network, and I saw that one of my colleagues had got John McGarrigle talking about his dad being in the pub, and just the rest of the stories and the rest of the names and confirmations that kept coming throughout the day through Saturday, and by Sunday it sort of not quieted down again, but we were still keeping an eye on the events that were happening, but we started to drip things in back to normal, and just in case anything had happened.